Hello. All right. Nitin. I am Grimwolf. Katie. Okay, everyone's coming in. Hello, everybody. I'm Khuri Irani, and welcome to yet another episode of Off the Pitch with Khuri. Today's episode is massive, like unmatched, unparalleled, because today, joining me on the show is Mr. ISL himself. What do I say about him? He's won multiple awards over here. Multiple times has he, represented different clubs in the Hero ISL. He's the only foreigner who's been here for 5 seasons. And he's played 2 finals. He's won the finals once, of course. You all know who he is. It's none other than Hume. I'm going to say his full name only once because I can't bring my head around saying it again. Iain Hume is going to be joining us. Okay, so let's get him as quickly as possible because I know you. So let's see. We're waiting for him to connect. Let's do this. This is going to be massive. Everyone in Manyapada, everyone in Indian football in the Hero ISL, there he is on your screen. Hey, Yumi.
Khuri, how are you?
I'm good, Yumi. Welcome to Off the Pitch with Khuri. We've talked off the pitch multiple times before, but this one is special because this one is on Manjapada's account. How are you doing, Yumi?
Yeah, not too bad. Just we're getting on with things, aren't we? It's a tough situation for everybody, and I think sporting and in life in general, it's just everything's come to a standstill. So it's just make do with what you can.
Yeah. What's life like over there? Is it like a complete lockdown, or do you get to go out and at least train or jog or any of that?
They've kind of they've taken the sort of reins off of it a little bit over the last 10 days. Beforehand, it was you're allowed an hour exercise, but you have to isolate when you're at home and social distancing and all that, 2 meters. And it's the same with the stores. The stores are open. They've not really shut down as much as a lot of places, which I think we're kind of getting the backlash of that with the amount of unfortunate deaths and illnesses and people going into hospital. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it eases off and we get the situation a bit better.
Yes, it's tough times, and especially, because there's nothing really to take our minds off it or to distract us. There's no football going on. So first of all, on behalf of everyone, Hume, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Just looking forward to this live chat with you. Help the fans get through the past couple of days. And now I'm sure, you're going to make the next half hour, 1 hour really entertaining. So thank you in advance. Like I was just telling you, don't hold your punches. Give us the Hume that we love. So you all set?
Yeah. I've done a couple of these interviews and everything over the last couple of weeks. So
yes.
To be honest, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. It's not who I am.
I don't think you know how.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
There's not much of a filter.
Yeah, you have a lot of masala in your pantry. Very little sugar, though.
I don't know about that. Maybe sometimes.
Maybe sometimes. All right. So first of all, Hume, I've got a list of questions that the fans have already sent me in advance because the traffic over here on the Manjapada account is crazy. So I can't go through all the questions when we're live. First of all, everyone's just going Humitan. Hume, wave out. Say hello to Manjapada.
No, everyone in Manjapada knows how I feel about them. They've supported me from day one, and it's kind of a friendship that's, even though we're apart, it's one of those that never dies. So I thank them all for tuning in and they know I thank them for their support every single time I do anything online. They're there and they're sending through thousands and thousands of questions. So, hey,
yes,
they know how I feel about them, and I don't think that's going to change.
You mean once a blaster, always a blaster?
100%.
Say it. We have to record the line.
No, it is. Once a blaster, always a blaster. You get pulled into the family, and it's one of those things.
All right. So how did this start? How did you become a part of the family? It's not just why did you come to Kerala, but even when you signed on, it was season 1. So the Hero Indian Super League was new. It was a new league that was starting in India, of all places. What made you come to India, especially to Kerala?
Well, the whole thing with Kerala was just a kind of a fluke. It's the first time in my career I was out of contract. So like 13, 14 years of professional without ever being out of contract. I'd been transferred, but never been actually letting my deal run down. And I did an interview with a mate and just about Leicester City getting promoted to the Prem, and he just asked me because he'd been asked to do some media work out there, and he had to decline, but he passed me on to one of the guys at IMG, and I followed it up, just wanted to see what they were saying, and they came back to me, said, yeah, they'd love to have me. They didn't have a Canadian international. They played in the championship and all that, so they were excited and put me in the draft. And it literally was, I knew I was in the draft with dozens and dozens of other foreigners, and it was a matter of, I woke up in the morning to find out I'd been drafted to Kerala Blasters. I didn't know who was going to be there. I didn't know what players were coming in. I was just fortunate. I landed on my feet, and David James was there, Jamie McAllister, who I played with in England beforehand. Stephen Pearson showed up after. Obviously, Michael Chopra was there, and it was a very British mentality that was brought into the club. So for me, it started out as an adventure, going to India to play in the league, and it turned out to be a bit more of a fairy tale.
Wow. Mubu is one of the fans who's corrected me, saying it's not Humitan, it is Humi Yetan. Okay, my bad. Humi Yetan. You know, you were talking about your experience coming here. Now, 5 years, there's Kerala, there was Kolkata, Pune, all over your travels. You did a lot of studio work with us as well. So I like a little studio work. Okay, we'll get to that in a bit. But overall, just not Kerala specific, just overall, your experience here in India. Just tell us about, some of the best stuff that happened with you and all of that. Tell us. You do the talking.
The best stuff, like it, just I created more of a fan base over there than I ever did over in the UK, and I have a great relationship with the clubs I played with here. But going over there, I was fortunate. Like I go to Kerala where they're football daft. I moved from Kerala to Kolkata where they're football daft. So it was with those two cities, or the two states, was just phenomenal, because everywhere I went, like even in Calcutta, where there's millions and millions and millions of people, you're walking down the street and there's not many white guys with bald heads, and it's kind of hard to hide myself.
You'd stand out anywhere, even if there's a bunch of bald guys,
bald
guys, you'd still stand out.
Well, that's it, and it was the same in Kerala. Was just madness, like walking. Like we lived in the hotel next to the Lulu Mall.
Yeah.
And we were there for 8 months, and I think I went to the mall 4 times. Like, it was insane. I literally couldn't walk through the mall, and even just walking in, hoodie on, 35 degrees outside. I've got a tracksuit with a hoodie on. And I'm in the supermarket for 2 minutes, and right away somebody comes up and like, oh, Hume. Yeah.
Would you just love it? Have you had that kind of reception anywhere else? Think about it. Does anywhere compare to Kerala?
No, nowhere. And hey, listen, I loved Calcutta. I loved playing there, but it's on a different level in Kerala. And my family came over and we went on one of the houseboats. We went out there for 6 hours or something like that. We stopped off to have some food, and there's an island in the middle of the backwaters, and about 15, 20 people come walking up asking for pictures. Like, we would literally just docked for about 30 seconds.
Wow.
So it's literally everywhere, and they're just absolutely mental about football. And as soon as Kerala Blasters started, it just gave them a free-for-all, and every game, and even though they've not had the success over the last couple of years, they're still out there. Like, people say, okay, they're down to 15, 20,000 in games, but it's still 15 or 20,000. Just because the stadium's so big, it looks like they're underappreciating.
Yeah.
But it's just they're mental, and if that state can get some success in football, that stadium and that part of Kochi, and it'll be insane.
It will. That brought me to my next question. I was actually going to ask you about the fan experience in the stadium when you're playing a match. So first, tell me about playing a match wearing a Kerala shirt. You walking on the pitch representing those players. Just tell me about that. All those 50-odd thousand people there.
Like the first game I went to there, I wasn't involved. Is when we beat Goa at home It was the first home game of the season, and Milagros Gonçalves scored. And I was up in the director's box because I was injured. And when he scored that goal, like, it was just insane. Like, the decibels were just, it was just pumping, and you just
The
couldn't hear yourself.
ground under your feet was shaking,
Literally.
wasn't it?
Literally.
We've seen that.
Like it,
Our cameras don't get a still shot. Our cameras literally shake because the ground is shaking.
yeah, like it's insane. And it's to be on the field. Like, when I came back after that,
Yeah.
I was out injured, and I came onto the field, and the place just erupted. And I think because I'd scored a couple goals leading up to that,
Yeah.
it was just mental. And they know how to support their team. I wish they had the success that they deserve, because
Yeah.
it is unparalleled. Like, the only thing that I had that came anywhere near that was when I played in Salt Lake with ATK. But other than that, like, that was a couple games a season where we'd get that atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
But with Kerala, it was every game, and
Yeah.
it was something special, to be honest.
It was Shagiri's. Your question has been answered because you asked the question he asked is tell us your experience about the very first home match ever in Kerala. But of course, that leads up to the next question: is Hume playing against Kerala in Kochi, wearing another team shirt? My God, how was that like?
To be honest, the reception I got from the fans was as big as it was when I played, because because the way we'd finished the season, the first ISL, we were underdogs. We were expected to be bottom, us in Northeast. Because we didn't have a massive name player, we had David in, but we didn't have a Del Piero, a Pires, a Trezeguet. We didn't have anyone like that. So everyone just looked at us and thought, yeah, they're going to finish near the bottom.
Yeah.
And to make the finals, and in all honesty, should have won the finals. I think everyone involved in that team made a relationship with the fans instantly.
Yeah.
Myself and Pearson, when we came back with ATK, and especially the hardest part was in that final. When we won the final in Kerala, their fans were insane because they hadn't lost at home since losing to us in the league. So we beat them in the league, and then I think they won 8 games out of 9 or something like that. And they hadn't lost at home, and then they played us in the final, and it was just electric. Like, we couldn't hear ourselves think. The warm-up was so broken because you couldn't hear the coach. You couldn't hear anything being told.
Yes.
And when it came to announcing our names, so it announced our team first, and it announced our names, and the eruption was, it was just something. You're just sitting there thinking, okay, well, listen, we're enemies. We're enemies today, but you know what? These guys really do show their support and their love for people, and we can't. It was honestly, if you watch back, if anyone watches back the videos after we won that game, I was heartbroken because, listen, I just won the trophy, but I'm looking at former teammates and guys, and looking around the stands, and there's people in tears, and players like Sandesh and
You could hear
Cedric
hearts breaking.
Yeah, and it was hard to see. I was elated, like, we just won it. Okay, I missed my pen. I was devastated with myself.
I'm going to stop you there,
won.
Hume. I ran onto the pitch to interview you, and the first words out of your mouth were, I effed up. And I said, okay, you know what? I'll come to you later. I'm going to Jose Molino. I'm going to interview him first, because I don't think you had a grip on your emotions at that time, because first, missing the pen, it was a final, it was in Kerala. I think it was just an overriding of emotions. You were just too overwhelmed, weren't you?
Yeah, and I'm my biggest self-critic. And I think you'll find most footballers are. You get the odd one who sort of, they live off of the support of others and the coaching of others, but majority of footballers are their biggest self-critic.
Yeah.
And I'm possibly one of the worst. So I could go out and score 2 goals, and if I'd missed getting that hat-trick or missed an easy chance, I get, like, proper upset with myself.
Yes.
And then that game, I know I didn't play fantastic in the final, but I worked my socks off. And it was a hard, long game. It was hot. It was one of those. And I thought, okay, well, comes to penalties, that's me. I love taking pens. I'm normally quite calm. And for some reason, it was a great save by Stacky, but he should never have had the chance. He should never have been going the right way. So
Yeah.
I was raging, and you know yourself. I effed up. It was one of those, and I couldn't talk at the time. I was
Yes.
in tears because just winning the trophy, and also
You were shaking, Hume. You were physically shaking because you'd won the trophy and you'd missed the and everything. I think it was this contradiction of emotions going through you, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. My head was all over the place, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. That's the glory, and that's the massive
Yeah.
plus side of football is your feelings. They just fluctuate so much.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
win a game, you're up in cloud nine. You lose a game, you're bottom of the earth, and
True.
it is what it is, and I think that's why we all love the game, because
Mm.
you never know what's around the corner.
True. Kelvin, you've actually resonated everybody's sentiment. He says, "We love you, Hume. Wherever you go, the Yellow Army will always be behind you." And it's actually, everyone's been writing about that you'll always be one of ours. You'll always be, once a blaster, always a blaster. But, since we were talking about your return to Kerala, wearing an opposition shirt, I have to talk about one, your return to Kerala again, then in season 4. What made you go back there after being away for 2 seasons?
Well, I was disappointed with ATK. At the time, like, listen, I was enjoying my football and we just won it, and they just broken ties with Atletico Madrid, which was fine, which was expected, I guess, because they'd only signed a 3-year contract. But then they come back and they offer me much less than what I was on. So, as much as I was enjoying it, I just said, listen, I need to have at least what I was on when we win the trophy. And then they pretty much broke the band up. They got rid of the Spanish contingent. They obviously, like I said, left with Atletico Madrid. So I then had a couple offers, and Kerala dragged it, and I was close to signing for Goa. Had a very long conversation with Sergio Lobero because he just signed. And then Jamshedpur had been in touch, and we'd had a couple people talking, and then Kerala came. I went and met with Rennie Muhlenstein because he only lives about half an hour from me. So I went and met with him a couple times, and I met with Wes Brown and Paul Rakubka, and we'd met up.
Yeah.
So we'd kind of agreed it, and then all of a sudden Kerala stopped. Like, it almost fell through because Kerala stopped answering phone calls and texts and emails, and they were just avoiding. So then it was a matter of me and Baljit just said, you know what, the draft's happening, let's go out there. So we kind of put people on the spot, and we sat down and spoke to everybody. Spoke to Pune, spoke to Goa, spoke to Jamshedpur, and then spoke to Kerala. And I think Kerala seen that we were speaking to everybody, and they changed their mind. And, well, they didn't change their mind. They kind of figured out that there was a very close possibility that I could have been leaving, or not joining, because that was the truth. I was so close to joining for Goa at the time, and they came up, they pulled me up into their room, and we had a chat, and it was that was it. We met about an hour later and signed the contract.
But then that lasted only 1 season. And the season after that, of course, you picked up a crazy injury in January of that season, and then you went to Pune for your rehab, I think, and that's what you went on to Pune. Then you moved on again after just 1 more season with Kerala.
No, it was. I got injured in the February, and I was very, very hot at the time. I was scoring goals. I'd finally broke into the team. The management had changed, and I broke into the team, playing my position and getting more than 20 minutes here and there, which was frustrating as hell for me. So when David came in, I broke into the team and I was playing regularly. And I was trusted again, which is a big thing for me, is being trusted. And I think I showed that over the first 3 seasons of the ISL. And then it got to the point where we were close to talking about renewing my contract because I'd actually turned down a second year because of my age. I'd said, listen, let me earn the second year. And yeah, we started talking. My agent got in touch with the club, the club got in touch with my agent. And we were about to start talking about a second year. And then I get injured. And I sit down with the owner. I sit down with the chief exec. I sit down with all the medical team. And everybody said the exact same thing. Let's get him fit. He'll be fit by August. End of August, he'll be fit.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, we want you in. We were even talking about what players they contemplated bringing in and who I thought we needed to strengthen in what areas. And we sat down for weeks and weeks because I obviously
You
couldn't
were
leave
part
them.
of those conversations about the team building process for the next season.
100%. We were sitting there talking about, oh, do you think we need this type of player or this type of player? I like this player. And we were just shooting the shit, really. We were just back and forth about what we were doing and what the plans were. And me and the physio and the doctor and the fitness coach, Dave Richardson, we were very, very close. So I did a lot of work with them. And I was in the conversation with the club regarding getting me back because they knew how quick I was getting better and how my recovery was going. And it was like, yeah, well, we'll get you in. We'll get you back next year. Let's sort it out. Let's do this. Let's do that. And as soon as I went home in the April, conversations just disappeared. I'm still waiting on a phone call or a text message back from JMO, and that's, 3 years ago? They severed all conversation. They stopped replying. It was taking weeks and weeks and weeks. And then one Thursday night, family swimming, come out from the family swim. Oh, Hume, sorry, we're looking to go a different direction. Okay, well, that was a surprise to me because we were very adamant on both sides, the medical staff, and the medical staff didn't know about that. They didn't know they were getting rid of me. And then the next day they signed 2 players. So they've gone from, we're going to go a different path to announcing 2 players the day later. So they've obviously been contemplating and talking to these players for weeks and weeks and weeks to negotiate. And then next thing I know, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Which it hurt, to be honest, because we did have a great. I'd rather them just tell me straight up, no, listen, we can't do it, which would have been fine. I'm man enough to take rejection. It's part of life. But it was frustrating, and that was the reason why I ended up going. And it was the only thing that came up about doing my rehab in Pune was I had my operation up in Pune. I had my surgeons up in Pune. And then conversation came, and it was a matter of I needed to play. Tell Adil to stop being childish.
Adil's waving out since 20.
And I see him commenting. But it was, so doing Pune, going to Pune, they gave me the opportunity to come in, and again, it was a frustrating time because they kind of messed me about as well. They signed me and then signed 2 more players, which made me the 7th or the 8th
foreigner. Yeah.
So I ended up having to wait until Mr. Portugal got sacked to get my chance in the team, and it is what it is. It's unfortunately and I got back fully fit and felt great, and that was it. The season finished, and I think that kind of spelt the end of it for me.
Okay, we're gonna just shift a little bit from this conversation, and I'm gonna ask you a question for someone he's from Goa, has been persistently messaging. D'Souza11 is saying, this is a question from Goa. Which was the toughest opponent or team in the ISL you have ever faced? Shifting gears here.
The toughest ever.
Yes.
Toughest
opponent. I like that. Yes. Toughest opponent in the ISL for you.
I think the hardest for me to play against was Cedric. I always had a tough game against Cedric when he moved to Northeast. When he moved to Northeast and then he moved back to Kerala, I always had a really tough game against him. But also Bernard Mendy. Bernard Mendy was a tank. and
Yeah.
we had I
Huge.
I scored a couple goals against him, but it never made it any easier. It was always a great battle, and we always fought with each other. And
Yeah.
but after the game, it was handshakes and hugs. And he's one of those guys. He gives you everything. But they're two different types of players. Him and Cedric. Cedric is more brain and cunning, and he reads the game really well. Whereas Bernard likes to fight with you, and it's for me it was fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think on a whole, I'd have to say the hardest one I played against was Cedric.
Okay, William Sachin, your question's just been answered. Hardest defender you played against, you've been going on. Yumi, this has come up a lot of times. So I'm just going to make it a generic question and ask you. Everyone's been asking for locker room secrets from your time in Kerala. They want to know, they want the dirt on the other players. Come on, give up on the homies.
Um, we didn't have to. It was one of those. We had a very, especially the first season, we had a very tight change room, and everybody had their own methods of how they warmed up for games and got ready for games and training and everything. And it it was just a very intense dressing room, which I think was shown by how we played on the field. Um, it was blow the whistle, 90 minutes, live or die, and then final whistle goes back in the change room, and that was it. The second time back at Kerala was a bit different. Um, there was egos. There was um, I don't know. There was kind of a divide between a little bit between the staff and the players at the start, and then that obviously changed halfway through the season. And things changed. The atmosphere changed. The way the team trained was different. I'm not saying better, but it was different. It was a little bit more intense.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a completely different way to what it was the first season I was there, and it is what it is. It's different coaches, different change rooms, but there's no real secrets to tell because
Come
nobody
on,
really.
Yumi. There's got to
No,
be an incident that happened that you'd say, okay, nobody knows this happened and let's keep it that way. Anything in the locker room? Any particular
no.
secrets?
Seriously, there's nothing. There's nothing really to. You have arguments. You have shouting matches. You have not quite fights, but when you have people like myself, especially the first season, myself, Piero,
Yeah.
Gurvinder, Sandesh, guys who are wanting to, and Metab, whoa, Metab, that guy is as fiery as the day is long. Like
Yeah.
when you have those types of people in your dressing room, you're bound to get
True.
confrontation, but nothing to really speak of. It was everyone wanted to win, and that was it. That was the be all and end all. And as soon as the final whistle goes, you're friends again. Doesn't matter.
True.
Doesn't matter what said. Nothing should be taken personal.
Yeah.
Adil should be able to tell you that because he throws his handbags out a couple of times and spits his dummy out the pram a little bit when he gets shouted at. But
He does
um,
that at home too, Yumi.
I
I'm with
bet
you on
that.
that.
I bet
All
that.
right. Got it. But since you brought him up, and I've thrown him out of the room, so he's watching this from the other room right now. But he has a question, and that's another locker room secret. However, it's not from Kerala Blasters, from the days in Pune. Just asking on his behalf. Oh, you're laughing already.
I know what it is.
Is there any particular thing that you, especially any particular piece of clothing that you were very attached to and very fond of, and you wore it till you wore it down? It changed color or it tore, but you wouldn't let it go. Any story of that?
Hey, it's just my training underwear. They're not supplied by the club. So I have my own socks, my own underwears, my own Under Armours, everything, and
There's a story about
miraculously.
an underwear here, Yumi. Come
Oh
on.
yeah,
Come
oh
on.
there is.
Come
Yeah,
on.
it's from the
What's the
start of the
story?
season. This I'm going to point the finger at Naidu, the Pune kit man. They
Yeah.
when I came to the season, they were black. By roundabout January, they were grey with holes.
Great.
They'd been worn once a day, so it's not like they were overworn, but they were worn once a day, and they
Every
managed to
day.
find.
Once a day, every
Oh,
day
hey, yeah,
for
but they
three
get washed
months.
every day. Yeah, hey, they get washed every day. But we had a little bit of a ceremony to say goodbye to them, with Adil and Gabuni and all that.
Yeah.
We burnt them and sent them off into the horizon. It was an emotional day.
Okay, the black underwear that turned grey and then had holes on them, but you refused to part with them. But it's nice to see you're so sentimental about
Yeah,
this. Okay, got
Superstitious. I'm
it.
very, very superstitious. Very
I am too.
superstitious with
I
with
relate.
how
I
I do
relate to
things.
that. But since we're talking about sentiments, one of the questions that have come in from the Manchapara account earlier was, what is the best and the worst day of your career? So first, tell us the best day of your career ever.
The best day, I'll limit this to India. The best day of my career was winning the trophy.
Yeah.
And that's not to be disrespectful to Manjapad. It
No,
was winning
of
the trophy.
course,
It was
of
incredible.
course. Yeah.
The worst day was snapping my cruciate. That was a tough one to take, and I was playing really well at the time, and it was just so innocuous. The keeper, and I ended up being his teammate the year after Vishal. He's come out and he's come out a different way to what I'm used to, and he just his back hit into the side of my knee and snapped my cruciate. So that was the hardest one because like fracturing my skull was tough, but I was kind of back, and it was after about a month I was able to run. A couple months I was able to run properly and sprints and work out properly. But with the knee, you have to follow protocol. You can't fast track it, otherwise you have setbacks. And that was the hardest one because
Was it also the time of your career when it happened?
yeah,
Was
well,
it that?
obviously being older, it's not even it's
I
not
mean, at any point in your career, it's not easy, but especially
yeah.
then,
But
was it
the
more
thing is,
difficult?
I came back. Like that's the thing. I proved to myself I
You
could get
came back
back,
swinging, Yumi.
and I was fit. I felt great, and I played okay. I didn't score as much as I should have, but I played well. You could see that in how the team played. I took a lot of the burden off Robin, a lot of the burden off Marco and Marcy, and we created and Adil. He didn't have to tackle as much because I helped him. Um, but no, it was great to get back out there because I proved to myself that I'd still had that fight to get back, and um, it was just hard because it essentially finished my career, to be honest. Because after that season, obviously not banging goals in left, right, and centre, and people look at my age and they look
You
at
almost did that final match in Pune, but then you went out and said, "No, that's Robin's goal. That wasn't mine." I
yeah,
remember
well,
we
no,
gave the Hero of the Match award, and
yeah, it could have been a lot easier if I was as selfish as a lot of people and goal hungry as a lot of people who would claim that as their own. But hey, if they gave it to me, perfect. If they didn't, they didn't. It's one of those. But yeah, is that was the toughest. The ACL was the toughest
yeah,
because I had to follow protocol for 7 months. I had to,
okay,
and Dave Richardson was tremendous with me. The old fitness coach at Kerala. Even when I was
mm.
at Pune, even when I was off season, everything, like he traveled up from London to see me up north. So he was traveling 4 or 5 hours to come and do a 2 hour session to drive 4 or 5 hours back. Like he was
Mm.
just incredible with me. And because of him, I got back, and because of the coaches, the physios and that at Pune, they helped me get over the finish line.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was by far the hardest part of my career.
Yumi, Vijish wants to know if there is any Indian player you think deserves to play in Europe,
Deserves? Nobody.
is good enough to play in
That's
Europe,
there's a difference between deserving and
being
deserving.
good enough.
Nobody from anywhere in the world deserves to play anywhere.
Deserves, yeah. Okay, so maybe he was trying to say that is there
Yeah,
anyone who you think is good enough for Europe?
there's quite a few. I like Sahal especially. Sahal has the technique, the natural ability. This season proved that he still has a lot to learn. Like I love the kid. I obviously we have the same agents. I worked with him when he first came in, but he has the ability. His natural ability is, for me, the best in India. His natural ability, but you have players.
The best in India.
For me, his natural ability, yes, his natural ability is a joke. But
Wow.
you see him 2 seasons ago, and then you see him this season, and it shows how much he has to learn and how much of his game he has to work on, because players like Tapa, and I'll highlight Tapa because Tapa's done it for three seasons now.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 2 seasons now. They've stepped it up. Oh no, it's 3 seasons because they won the trophy and then Bengaluru and then
Yeah.
this season. So he's done it for 3 seasons. So he had the first season. Second season was a little bit of a blip last season. This season, he stepped it up the second half of the season, showed how good he is. But that's where he needs to be competing with. So with those two, then you have Changte. Changte is a natural athlete along with Ashik. These guys have the abilities. They're missing a tiny bit for some reason, whether it's they have to work a little bit more in training, work on crossing, shooting, whatever. But they have the natural physiques and abilities to get into Europe.
You
Same
think
with
the
Tapa,
right
same
kind of
with Sahal.
coaching would make a lot of difference to the likes of a Sahal, an Ashik, a Changte? The right coaching could just make them shine like a diamond. They're a rough
100%.
cut right now.
100%. And you've seen that with Changte last season. When he was at Delhi, he was very good, but he was very raw. This season, he got trusted a bit more. And he was allowed, and he had players around him. Playing with Valskis this year must have been great for him because he took a lot of the pressure off him. Tapa's been, for me, he's very, very mature for his age, the way he plays.
Yes.
I think I'd have loved to have seen the likes of Brandon in the national team a couple of years ago. Maybe he'd had a chance of getting abroad. There's so much natural talent. Like it's hard to say if there's any one player. But for me, the two players that could stand out and could make it because of their age and because of how much they still have to learn, I think Sahal and Tapa would be my choices because they would fit straight into a lot of European styles of play because of how technically gifted they are.
Yeah. All right. Yumi, who's your best friend from all the Indian footballers that you've played with or against, whatever? Just your favorite.
I can't pick a favorite. I'm really close
I
with
can
Sandesh.
screenshot the question. It's been coming in over and over. Just
No,
one
that's
player.
fine. There's not one player. I'm really close with a lot of them, and I'm very close with Adil. I'm close with Sandesh. I'm close with Ishfaq. I'm close with every Indian player I've played with. They've shown me the utmost respect, and I do the exact same to them. So I can't pick one because I've never isolated myself to go with one. So, oh, me and you are a friend. No, I'll give them the same respect I give everybody else, and I think that's been one of the things that's been a difference between myself and a lot of foreigners who've come over, is I give them the same respect as I'd want, and I've got a great relationship with every single one of the players I played with.
Yumi, also, how important would, as a foreign player, to come here and you're impactful on the pitch. Like you said, this year, for an Indian boy to play rub shoulders with someone like a Valskis, there's so much for them to learn. So similarly, the young Indian boys playing with players like you and all the other wonderful foreigners that we've had over here, it works for them. It helps them grow. Brandon's grown because he spent so many years working outside Koro. But off the pitch, because that's the name of the show as well, off the pitch, how much of an influence are these foreign players on the Indians? Just, in terms of discipline, fitness, diet, just how much do you all influence these Indian boys?
I I just they influence us as well. To be honest, it's they how humble they are is something that has brought a lot of foreign players, myself included, down to earth. Is how humble the Indian players are, and I'd like to think the professionalism side of things, because how we've grown up in football is we have structured training, we have structured gym, we have everything has happened. And the one thing that I'd like to instill in the squads I've been in, the Indian players hate it, is the fine system. So we fine players for being late if they come late to the training session, to the gym session, whatever, and they hate it. And Adil always complained about it. I'm 1 minute late. What about him? What about him? Always argues. But these are things. If
Say that again.
no, seriously. If they ever did that in
Yeah.
Europe, the fine gets bigger and bigger, and if you argue it, it gets bigger and bigger. So it's the sort of things, and it's little things. It's like $1 here, $2 here, $5 here, whatever. But it's something that we've tried to put in. So I think we both learn off each other, Indian players and foreign players alike. Is their humble beginnings a lot of the way they live their life, the way their families live their life. Like when we were doing preseason in Goa last year, Gabuni brought us around his house right around the corner,
Yeah.
and to see the little village, and it's incredible. It's a great thing to see, and I'd like to think different sides of our careers and our lives, we've influenced each other in different ways, and I hope the professionalism that the foreign players have brought into the league has helped, and I think it's evident that it's helped a lot of the Indian players.
The question came in asking, which is your favorite European club?
I'm a Liverpool fan. Khuri hates it. Adil hates it. I'm a Liverpool fan. It's a
Moving on.
tough year to
Swiftly moving
understand,
on.
isn't it?
Okay, moving on, Hume. Where do you see Kerala Blasters in the next 5 years?
I'm hoping with a couple of trophies. They deserve it. They need to. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know. There's a lot of changes again, which is it's been a tough one over the last couple of years. Is how many managers have they had since Steve Coppell got them to the final? They've had manager after manager after manager after manager, which means different staff behind the scenes, different medical staff, different players. So it's hard for them to compete. And I'll be honest, you look at BFC, you look at Goa, you look at Chennai for the most part, you look at ATK. They got rid of Habas. They won the trophy with Habas. Second season with Habas was incredible. Third season, Molina comes in. They bring Habas. They tried the changing thing a little bit. Didn't work twice. They bring back Habas. They win the league. So they've gone back to that normality. They're trying not to change their teams. And I think the problem with Kerala over the last couple of years is it's constant. It's a conveyor belt of players in and out. Staff in and out and constantly. So how do you get a structure there? When now this season, I agree bringing in Vakuna. I think with how he won the league last season with Mohan Bagan, he had to be in the ISL. He couldn't take Habas's spot at ATK. So getting him through the doors, I think it's a good signing. Is he going to get more than a season? If they don't make if the unforgivable happens and they don't make the top four, is he going to get sacked? So where does the stability come again? So it's down to the club. I'd love to say in the next 5 years they've got a couple of trophies, but that's down to the club. They need to stabilize things and maintain a bit of normality, whereas there's always.
But Hume, are you an advocate of one of those, why fix what's not broken? But on the other hand, if it's not working, fix it, replace it. So if you're saying a particular coach or style is not working, would you give him a couple of more years to see if, beyond the first season, if it does work, or you're thinking, okay, this is not working, we didn't get the result we wanted, so we're going to go in a different direction next season, coaching-wise, specifically with the coach, because we're talking about the attrition rate of the coach.
But how many times do you change? There's got to be a time to stop. And then depending on how long this coach has had in his contract, how many hundreds of thousands are you having to pay him to leave? And how many times have you done that? So it's a continuous, if there's problems with finances, getting rid of people costs money.
True.
Do you take time and give them a chance?
Yeah.
Ilko last year, okay, sometimes they weren't good to watch, but sometimes they were very good to watch. So do you only expose the negatives and get rid of him, or do you look at the positives of what the team could have been if you had a couple more pieces to the puzzle? So it depends on what side of the fence you're sitting. I personally, I think it's great signing, bringing in Vakuna, but would it have been just as good keeping Ilko? I don't know what it was like behind the scenes, so I guess time will tell.
Okay. Arun Thomas is one of the guys who's asked this question. A lot of them have asked this. I'm only going to take Arun's name. If once you've got a coaching license and everything, if you're offered the job of Kerala Blasters coach, would you return to them? And hold on. Before this moves away, the Dwarf Planet is asking, if you are the coach of Kerala, what is the first thing you would do? So just answer
Well,
both of these.
well, first and foremost, I need experience as a coach. I want to learn how to be a coach. I played pro for 20 years. That doesn't mean I'm a good coach. So I need to learn. I wanna
Yeah.
tiptoe into being a coach. So I'm gonna start off low when I do get started. Go from there. See how it takes me. Um,
As an eventuality, someday.
as an eventuality, if I become a manager somewhere, you never know. That's a different.
Yeah.
It's one of those. I'd love to say who I'd love to play for when I was playing. I'd love to say who I'd love to coach when I'm coaching for a bit longer.
Hmm.
Um, what I would do if I was in charge there,
First thing you do. Be
just
careful
thank
with that one.
think thank my blessings. I think that'd be the first one is coming through the door. It'd be rub my hands together and just say, well, time to get going. But
Who's the first Indian player you'd want to bring in? Okay, we'll change the tact of this one. Come on.
if see that's the in 5 years, a lot of the guys I like might be a bit too old. Adil will be in a wheelchair. Um, he's no, it's
Oh,
I don't know. You I think the benefit of having local players is huge to all clubs. So you'd be looking at bringing in your Sahals, your Raul KPs, your just players who know what it means to play for their state and know what the feeling is to play for their state. So I think it'd be a matter of searching through the scouting system and searching through the system for players who are of that age and of that ability.
okay. Nicely sidestepped. Moving on. Extremely cautious once no, okay, this I don't know. Okay, David James or Jose Molina or Habas in the ISL.
Habas. And that's no
Yeah.
disrespect to any of the others. JMO had his way of coaching. It was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Molina was a very good defensive organization type of coach,
Mm.
where Habas was a bit of both. He had the freedom to go and play. I think he proved that again with ATK. He had a hiccup when he was at Pune. But the 3 seasons he's been at ATK, I think it stood out.
Yeah.
And it was my most enjoyable season in India was the second season with ATK, even though we lost in the semi-final.
Your second season with ATK or season two
Season
was
two, so the second season in ISL. So my first season
okay.
with ATK.
Your first season with ATK.
Yeah.
Okay. So that answers. Shagiri, you're asking best coach he has ever played under. That answers your question. You got that. A lot of people have been asking about your opinion on Ogbeche with Kerala Blasters last year. How impactful have you found him to be?
Just look at the stats. I think that's
All-time top
easy.
scorer.
Yeah, that's it. It's the guy's. He's a very good goal scorer.
Hmm.
Him and Messi, although we doubt this is coming from myself as well. Watching from the side, I didn't know how they would work together as a partnership,
Hmm.
but they proved myself wrong, and they proved a lot of people wrong. Ogbeche scored goals. The guy, he's just there, and he's always in the right place at the right time, um,
Yeah.
but the best part about him, he's just a good guy. Like,
He is.
he's such a good guy, and he's he's definitely he's just a legend. He can take that number 10 and he can make that his own, and he can hang that up anywhere he wants. And I think having done it in a Northeast team that was struggling,
Hmm.
okay, they made they almost made the semi-finals or whatever, and then he moves to Kerala in a team that weren't creating a mass amount of chances last season, and he's still banging goals. The guy is just he's great. He's great to watch, and as you know yourself doing the pundit side and the studio work,
Yeah.
it's great to watch.
True. He was unbelievable. Even since off the pitch, it's not just when he was in the studio, he's just so humble and he's so modest. And you have to hear some of the young Indian boys talking about Ogbeche. You have to hear, when we were talking to Elko, and Elko said, even when Ogbeche was not playing, just his presence in the dressing room
Mm-hmm.
was so important. And that's what I mean about players like you, players like Ogbeche. Like, it really, really makes such a difference to players. Yumi, another one of the questions coming in is you from season one, when the Hero ISL started at Kerala Blasters, and Sandesh Chingan was an emerging player back then. He was the emerging player of the league.
Mm-hmm.
From then to now, over 6 years, the progression of Sandesh Chingan, and you've watched it closely. What would you say about Sandesh?
He's matured. Like when the first ISL, he was Mr. Versatile. So he was playing right back, left back, centre back. He had a lot of guys back there to help him to work on his game and to help him with his game. So he had Jamie McAllister, Colin Falvey, Cedric Henchbard, Nirmal Chetri. He had these guys. Somik Day, older Bengali boy. So he had the guys who'd been there and played a lot more, and he knew that he had to learn. And he put in the work, and you could see that year after year after year. The first ISL, he was very slight in build. Look at him now; he's a lot more filled out. He's ridiculously strong. Typical Punjabi boy, ridiculously strong.
In more ways than just strength, you mean?
He's just his head.
Fun-loving guy, yeah.
He is, but he's headstrong. He knows where he wants to be, knows what he wants to do, and he's a proper leader. Like he trains the exact same way he plays every single day. And like he had such pains when I was there the second time, and he had ankle problems and foot problems, but you'd never seen him complain about it. Never missed training. Limping around, can't run, but he's still there. And that was something we needed to see from foreign players the second time I was there, and we didn't. We had him there, and he's limping around, running around, struggling to play, but never ever batted an eyelid and always continued. And listen, I'll clear this up now. The stuff that came out yesterday from me regarding Sandesh, it was deja vu for me. I didn't know that. They just said part of company. So for me to respond the way I did wasn't knowing what had happened, and I didn't really care. It wasn't that sort of comment. It was, I'd seen this before. Guy's got an injury. Let's look. Somebody commented, "Oh, you were out of contract." Yeah, but I was talking about getting a new contract. So that quietens that person down. But the thing is, I'd have fought tooth and nail to keep Sandesh in the door. I don't care. He's got a year in his deal. If he wants to go and we get a transfer fee for him, fine. And somebody buys him, fine. But I would fight tooth and nail to keep that kid in the door, because he's the heartbeat of that club, and he's been there for the whole from the first whistle to now.
6 years, yeah.
And he's just been through a year worth of rehab, or 8 months worth of rehab. And if you don't think that he's hungrier than he's ever been now, and he's more of an asset to the club, I don't care what he's on contractually. Other people won't be changing their contracts. So why change the guy who, although Bart's captain, Sandesh is captain for me, always has been, always will be. Keep him in the door. And if somebody wants to buy him, they buy him. Other than that, he stays at Kerala Blasters if he's under contract, because he is, for me, along with Sahal, the biggest asset for the club on the Indian standpoint. And that was where my comment came from yesterday. Nothing to do with, and I'm not condoning what Chopra replied to my comment, because I haven't spoke to Chops in years, and some of the stuff that he's come out with over the last couple of months has been downright disrespectful and embarrassing towards a lot of people. So anyone who puts my comment with Chopra's comment in the same thing is completely out of order. But that was the reason my comment came out, is because they did the exact same thing to me. And I'm hoping it has nothing to do with his injury.
Okay.
Right or wrong, that's my own prerogative. I put that post because it happened to me. But I would have fought tooth and nail, regardless of his contract, regardless of his salary. I'd have done everything in my power to keep him in the door.
All right. Fair enough. Glad you cleared that up.
Sorry.
There's another question. There's another question about, if someone says Kerala, apart from Kerala Blasters, what's the first thing you think about?
Backwaters, beach, sand, elephants. It's my favorite animal in the world. So seeing elephants walking down the street. Me and my kids went to, there's an elephant sort of sanctuary just by, not far from Kochi itself. It's 45 minutes to an hour from Kochi. And we went there and we were able to bathe a massive elephant, and we've got videos of it, and it's something that we've never ever been able to we'd never be able to do over here. So to have the kids and my wife walking around this sanctuary and elephants walking past and watching them bathe in the river and then being able to bathe one, incredible.
Incredible. All right. Keenan has waved a hi, and Abhiram Hari, I'm loving it. What was it like to play with Burba, even though you're a Scouser?
What was it like to play with Burba? I don't know. We didn't
He's
train
asking.
together. We didn't train
Yeah.
together much. We didn't play together much. And listen, the guy's a legend. I know that. I've never achieved half of or a quarter or 10th of the things he achieved. But this is where I go back to the learning humble ways from Indian players and respect showed both ways. And Burba, for me, he isolated himself from the team. He didn't do a lot of stuff with the team, seldomly trained with the team. And to be honest, when JMO first came in and he took him off at halftime, it just showed a lot of true colours for me. He spat his dummy out and demanded to go back to the hotel halfway through a game. So that for me, the guy's a legend, absolute genius with the football. But you compare him to Wes Brown and it's chalk and cheese.
Yeah, that is true. Hey, Keenan just commented saying, "Hey, you made nice beard." Ta-da.
I can't grow this stuff, so may as well grow the beard.
Sure. Okay, we're running out of time, but I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions towards the end because these have been coming over and over. Your favorite city in India?
Kochi.
Okay. Favorite dish to eat?
Favorite dish to eat? I wouldn't even.
Any
I don't
local
even know it.
dishes you tried? Anything?
I tried. Anthony Thomas got me this one. It's a beef. I don't even know it. Like a beef masala kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hot as hell. In Kerala food, Kerala chefs know how to put hair on your chest. With the heat, seriously, with the heat they put in their food, it's insane.
I love it. Are you kidding? Are you talking about the beef that they cook with the coconut and the chili? Oh, it's
the beef. It's like a masala sort
with the paratha. You have to eat it with the Malwari paratha. Oh,
mine Kerala rice and butter naan.
ooh. I thought you were going to come up with one of those fitness health freak thingies, but no, I'm glad you said this now.
No chance.
Oh, they're calling it beef fry and paratha. That was the one.
Well, that's it. Anthony Thomas got me it, and it was very, very nice.
Okay. Because we have only 2 minutes left. So first, a word on, okay, I'm actually going to reveal this now. The next guest on Off the Pitch is going to be Josu. So what do you have to say about Josu and to Josu? Because we're going to play it out for him on the next show immediately, right at the top.
I was texting him earlier, actually. No, he's a great guy. I was fortunate. Yeah. I never played with him in India, but I played with him in Spain after one of the seasons. And he's just a good guy. And I hope he's safe and well because he's deserved a lot more luck in football than what he's had. He's been over to the US, he's been to India, he's been to Finland. He's doing everything in his power to make it and continue playing. And the guy's just a great guy and a ledge, bit of a legend. He's a good driver as well. He was my taxi driver when we were in Spain. So yeah.
Great. Since you mentioned Anthony, someone says, what about the fact that you got him to shave? Remember that? Tell us about that really quick though, because we're running out of time.
We made a bet. It was because I hadn't scored yet.
Yeah.
We made a bet, and it was I said if I score, will you shave your beard? And he'd been growing it for a while, and I said, well, how about this? I get a hat trick, you shave your beard. He goes, okay, you get a hat trick. And this is the day of the game.
Yeah.
So as soon as it happened, I ran over, and I'm just like, yeah, that's going off tonight. But no, he's one of my best mates.
Was that extra motivation to get Anthony to shave? You got to score that.
It's crazy because I didn't even think about it. Honestly, the game was going on, and then the third one went in, and my mind just went, I've got him. Like, I can't believe he's going to shave his beard off. No, but he's one of my best mates, so we're very, very close, and that was so much fulfillment being able to shave his beard off.
Which I wasn't going to ask this question. I have it written down because it had come in earlier. and 3 Hero ISL hat tricks, Yumi. Come on, you're still right on top with that. But someone had asked which one's your favorite. Can I now notch that one as your favorite just because it gave you like a
Yeah,
personal satisfaction?
yeah, I think it is because it was also the first one that Kerala had in 4 seasons, and I think for me, how much it meant to me going back there and proving my worth for going back and proving my worth in the team, which was kind of pushed to the side at the start of the season. But yeah, I'd say that would be probably the one that meant the most.
All right. Yumi, there's tens of thousands of fans that have tuned into this live. Lakhs more are going to be watching this when we play it out over and over again. Forget I'm here to talk directly to the fans. What would you say to Manjupada? We're on their account right now. What would you say to Manjupada? One-on-one talking to them.
Just same thing I tell them every single time. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for taking me inside your family and showing me the support that you always have. And the feeling is mutual. It always has been. And that's why I gave you guys everything I had. And I just wish it was a bit longer. But unfortunately, that's the way of the world and the way of football. There's not a lot of loyalty, unfortunately, in football from the other side of the game as well. But I love you guys, and everyone stay safe, and fingers crossed for you next season because I'll be watching.
All right, we hope to see you in the studio. Apart from those, this video calling that we did this season, you maybe want you back. I promise you, Nuno won't be there.
No, that's one of the ways to get me back is him not being there.
Oh, okay. There you go. Then excessive motivation. But we look forward to that, especially. I have to just mention this because when I was talking about you doing punditry, when you returned, you were injured with FC Pune City, but we returned doing a live show on ground in Kerala. Remember that? And you walking onto the pitch, the crowd went mad. They went bizarre. It was louder than when the team entered the pitch for pitch inspection. And I remember this. The team walks in from the tunnel and made a beeline straight to you, right to you.
See, that's the thing. That's the respect goes both ways, and I earn that respect off the players because I gave them Sandesh, CK, Sahal. They're like family to me, and they come straight to me. And the thing is, I would do the same to them. Yeah. So that's you get what you put into the game, and I've put in everything I possibly could, and the amount of respect I've given to people. I don't expect it back, but I hope that I get it back. Unfortunately, I do.
We love you, Humi. The screen's flooded with just hearts. Just everyone's just sending hearts. Just love, love, love. And this is actually Josu's celebration also. So this was like a clue to tell everyone, which is the next episode. Yumi, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for joining me on Off the Pitch. Just be you, stay you. We love you just the way you are. Thank you from everyone in Kerala, everyone from Manjupada. Thank you. Thank you. This was so much fun. Thank you. We'll talk to you very, very soon. Just before you go, it's last time, just say once a blaster, always a blaster.
Yeah, once a blaster, always a blaster.
Thank you, Yumi. Have a good one. Stay safe. Much love to your family as well. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, Yumi. Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow. How amazing was that? Just the build-up, the anticipation to be talking to Iain Hume live on Manjupada's Instagram account on Off the Pitch with Khuri. Thank you all so much. It was thank you so much. I'll see you all again on Sunday at 8 p.m. You know who I'm going to be talking to. This was his trademark celebration. With all love for you guys. Yes, it's Josu Kurias, and he's going to be joining me Sunday at 8 p.m. live on this handle. Thank you so much, guys. I'll talk to you again next time. Keep sending in your questions on the Manjupada account, okay? For Josu, whatever you want me to ask, and I'll make a list of it beforehand. This is Khuri Irani signing off from Off the Pitch. Bye.